it's Dr. Nicole here. Welcome to Animal Kingdom, and today we are going to be learning about bearded dragons. And I have this beautiful bearded dragon here named Freya today. Isn't she gorgeous? I love her colors. And just like the leopard gecko we learned about, she is a reptile. She's also a lizard, but she's a completely different species. So she has her own things that you would need to research and do for her that are going to be very different from a leopard gecko or a different reptile. Now, bearded dragons have been in captivity and been kept as pets for a really long time, and they're really great starter pets. So if you've never had a reptile before, these are going to be the species we'd probably recommend the most to start with because they're very friendly. They do really well in captivity and really well as pets. They bond with their owners really well. You can get little harnesses for them, so you can get little bearded dragon harnesses, and you can take them on walks outside with you and have them out in the sunlight with you. Oftentimes they can be really good pets even for dogs and get along really well with people's other pets. Obviously, when you're first introducing any species of animals to each other, be careful, but I've definitely seen bearded dragons who have dogs as their very best friends. I was at a Halloween costume contest once, and a dog came up dressed up as a little cowgirl, and she had her little hat and her vest on, and then she had her best friend bearded dragon with her who also had this little cowboy vest on and his little hat. So they can be really, really fun and good additions to the family. Now, certainly if you're going to get one, just like always with any reptile, you got to do your research. It's really important that you get a big enough enclosure for them, so like an aquarium or reptile tank that's about 75 gallons with the screen on top. And then it's really important they get UVB light. So UVB light is ultraviolet light, and normally if they live outside, they're going to get that from sunlight. But in captivity, you buy special lights where they can still get that, and that basically helps them synthesize vitamin D and absorb calcium properly. So if they don't have that light, then they're going to be calcium deficient, which can result in that disease we talked about with leopard geckos called metabolic bone disease, where their bones start bending and break, and it makes them really sick. And on that note, the other important thing, just like with leopard geckos, is when you're feeding them, so you can feed them, different insects, so crickets, mealworms, things like that. They also will eat vegetables and fruits, so you can feed them a variety of vegetables, greens, and fruits. It's really important to dust all of the food with calcium and vitamin supplements, and also to make sure the insects are fed a really nutritious diet. It's what we call gut loading, so a gut-loaded diet before you then feed them to your reptile. So then the reptile gets all that good nutrition as well. And that really helps with the calcium and vitamin D balance too, and helps them be healthy and safe and not have bad diseases. One of the things you can do, so the UVB lights you have over the tank usually need to be replaced every 6 months to a year. It depends on the brand of light you buy. But luckily, especially here in Texas, you can actually take them outside with you. Like I said, you can fit them with harnesses, and then they get natural UVB light outside. So their ideal temperature is anywhere between 80 and 100 degrees. And so in Texas, we have so many wonderful, hot, warm, sunny days where your bearded dragon can just hang out outside with you for a half an hour a day and just get natural UVB light. And that's going to be so good for them. And certainly in the enclosure, in the tank, it's very, very important to have a thermometer where you're measuring. The hot end of the enclosure should be around 100 degrees, so a basking spot, and the cool end should be around 80 degrees. Overnight, the temperature can drop to 65 degrees, but it's very important to have a thermometer where you know exactly what the temperature is for any reptile species you're taking care of. So those are the main things with them: feeding them the right food, making sure they get appropriate light. You can have different substrates on the bottom of the tank. So normally newspaper, paper towels work well. You can clean that really easily. They are an egg-laying species as well. So what's really cool about reptiles is some lizards and snakes can either lay eggs and then their babies are hatched from an egg, just like a bird, or some species have live birth, so they give birth to live, like baby versions of the reptiles. So you can have live snakes and live lizards, and so every species is a little bit different. So bearded dragons lay eggs, and that's what we call oviparous, which means they're egg laying. For the reptiles that give birth to live young, that's called viviparous, meaning they're giving birth to live young. So that's just something unique and interesting about them. And sometimes if they're angry or threatened, this little beard part here will get really dark, and sometimes they'll fluff it out, and just to indicate that they're kind of either scared or afraid, or just to try to intimidate who's ever frightening them. So we see that occasionally. Sometimes they'll wave the little arm like this, and that can be a submissive gesture. So they're pretty fun and cool. They have a lot of personality, and we definitely recommend them as a reptile pet for kids. So certainly if you would like one, you gotta talk to your parents. Like we always say, you gotta talk to your parents, make sure it works for your family, and do your research, make sure you can take care of them properly. And that is it. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.